Hey everybody, it's your pal Mike Zombie, and this week we're going to talk about Day of the Dead 2, Contagium from 2005. And their poster is very much trying to steal the thunder of Day of the Dead from 1985. It's got the same kind of color scheme going on, the same font. It says, every day has a beginning. But the story itself starts off apparently in 1968, which would put it as the origin of Night of the Living Dead. Not to point out any oopsies, but that's where it starts. And to be honest, I'm reading here on IMDb that it's set in 1968. That's the first note. And I did pick up on that in the film, but when I watched the film itself, I didn't know it was 1968. It didn't seem to be 1968. Now, if they put up on the screen 1968 in Pennsylvania, I missed it. I didn't realize that until they did like a jump forward, and I'm like, oh, that was in the past. Okay, because that looked like modern times. That's okay. I do have a problem with the every day has a beginning, and they're starting actually, time-wise, they're basing it way back before the first film, so I think there's a bit of a fuck up there, but that's okay. Now, this film has a hearty 2.3 star out of 10 rating on IMDb by well over 2,000 people. So it gives you an idea as to where this is headed. This wasn't a bad film up until a point. We start off at a military hospital where some guy is going nuts on a table. And just because we're well steeped in zombie mythology and knowledge, we already think immediately this guy's probably a zombie. And he is. And he's going nuts on a table. And of course, like 3 doctors are holding him down and a couple of nurses. And they're holding this guy down. He's just biting and going absolutely nuts. And a gentleman slips into the room, grabs what looks like a salt shaker, goes into the locker room, takes out his old trusty metal thermos, and puts this weird salt shaker thing inside and caps it and goes for a walk outside. Well, the military shows up, starts shooting down these zombies because suddenly zombies are this guy is biting another, and the doctors are zombies. It's out of control. And this guy starts running around trying to get away because the military has shown up and they're shooting everybody. They make it very apparent they're cleansing the building, cleansing it all. Zombies, regular people, infected, uninfected, they're not taking any chance. Everything and everyone must die. The guy is actually doing a great job of evading the military until they finally corner him and he throws his thermos, this metal thermos, off into a bush. They shoot him dead. And we switch to many years later because this was a military hospital that is now just a mental institution. And we have a cleanup crew of the mentally challenged, but they're all fairly normal. It's not a lovable bunch like we would say with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where you can really get into their characters and like them for their faults, and it's amusing, and well, it's not that kind of thing. They're the trustees that are good enough to go out and do tasks, labor, cleaning up alongside a ravine is what these guys are doing. So sure enough, one of these guys finds the thermos all these years later. It looks pretty much the same, and he's trying to open it because you can hear when you shake it, something's inside. It's that salt shakery device, and they can't get it open. It's rusted shut. They end up going back to the institution and kind of hanging out and going about their day. And these guys, for the most part, seem fairly normal. They're hanging out, they're watching scary movies, well, cheesy B scary movies, and just kind of doing their thing. Now, it's a very small ward. I think we've only got like 6 guys in there, run by a doctor who I think is actually Mark Harmon from Summer School. It's the same kind of thing going on. Kind of hanging out in the Hawaiian shirt. Everything's cool. Hey, fellas, not what we would expect a doctor to, especially involved in mental health, to kind of be. He seems pretty nice. Several of the actors in this are pretty good. Some of the characters kind of stunk a little bit, but our main players seemed very capable. At least that was my take on them. So one of these patients grabs the thermos, sneaks it off to the bathroom because he wants to open it. Though the gentleman who was reading the book, who seems to be the most stable out of this group, because he's actually got a girlfriend who's also in this mental health institution, and he's going to be released in about a week, and he's hoping she'll be released soon because they're going to start a life together outside. They're both fairly normal. He said right away, something bad's going to happen when that thing opens. I got a feeling about it. The other guy's like, no, it's fine. And one of the loony guys runs off with it to the bathroom. He's trying to get into it. Well, the guy who found it was like, hey, my thermos is gone. And so, of course, they go to the doctor's desk in the room and say, the thing's gone. Well, this one asshole is missing off in the bathroom. He's probably got it. So they all go into the bathroom, like a bunch of women, go into the bathroom, and they're like, what you doing in there? The guy's like, pooping. No, we're looking for the thermos. It's all right if you have it. but we would hope that you wouldn't open it. And you hear the guy just going nuts trying to get the thing open. So they open the door, they're fighting it over it, and sure enough, the top opens up, they break through the rust, and this weird salt shaker kind of goes flying onto the floor. And they're like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And they all, in the movie where they show like the fisheye lens camera where like a whole circle of people peer over and look into it, that's exactly what they do. I get a kick out of that effect. We see as this little salt shaker peels itself open like petals on a flower, and weird little rainbow essence dust goes around the room. And I'm like, awesome, they're all gay. No, turns out they're not. Well, they might be gay. Doesn't matter to me. But it wasn't gay fairy dust. The rainbow stuff, I guess, was just to show us that it was like magical, like a spell. I don't know. It seems very nice. They're like, it smells like flowers. That's kind of nice. And of course, we're well steeped in zombie knowledge, and we're like, no, this can't be good, because this was in the same room that zombie was in 1968 when we didn't realize it was 1968. Later on, we see all of these people, the 5 that were there. Oh, and the guy's girlfriend. Sorry, for whatever reason, she was there too. And they all breathed it in. They're like, it smells nice like flowers. And all of them are laying there asleep, and they all start to hallucinate. That little stars are kind of floating around them. And so far, it's very much like, fairyland. It's not done in a creepy way. And they're like, everybody's smiling, they're happy, and the stars all kind of go into their foreheads, and they're like, oh, this is interesting. What a nice introduction to becoming a zombie, because that's what's going to happen. And I will say, in defense of this film, it takes a bit of a twist. This doesn't make zombies, but these people, I'm just going to cut to the chase and cut through the story. But what I liked about this film is that these 5 or 6 people weren't actually zombies, though they did physically die, in the sense that they all got like a really bad sunburn almost immediately. They all shed 1 or 2 layers of skin. They all stopped eating. They all stopped sleeping, stopped functioning as humans, but they still speak, think, and they realize that they all share a collective consciousness. Okay, it's like the Corsican brothers. Like Cheech would punch himself in the balls. Like, I don't feel a thing, and Chong would be laying there screaming because his balls hurt. Except in this case, both people feel it, or they all do. They can share thoughts, feelings, motivations, and drive. But what they are carriers. Anybody they bite becomes a full infected zombie that does not share so much in the consciousness that these guys are sharing. They don't share the physical. Anybody they bite becomes a crazed zombie that just wanders around and bites people and kills them, but doesn't have any of the perks that go with being part of the original 5 or 6 or whatever it is. I kind of like that. I kind of like the introduction of, well, I know what we're all feeling. I know what we all need to do. But for some reason, it fractures yet again. Because a gentleman who the doctor contacted online about the salt shaker goes, oh yeah, my dad used to work there. It's horrible stuff. I need to see you. He shows up to provide us answers on how to cure this. He's got a cut on the back of his head because somebody slammed him against a wall. And 3 of the group smell the blood, go nuts, and attack him and eat him. The doctor, the almost normal guy, and his girlfriend or fiance, whatever, lock themselves in the office adjacent and are watching them just devour this man. And while it's obvious they're having desires to go join them, for some reason they have restraint that keeps them back. The guys outside like, join us, oh, this is great, you don't know what's happening. And as these 3 outside consume this man, they become even more infected, more monstrous. Their bodies change more, they become much more distorted. More along the lines of the people they've infected in the secondary fashion, the other people running around. But our 3, which I'll call heroes, stay in the office, they stay normal, and they're like, what the fuck, this is not what I want to be, we need to fight this. But you can tell they're interested. So now we have 3 groups, the heroes, the higher level functioning zombies, and just plain dead in this hospital, and the staff, I guess, so 4 groups that are still walking around trying to evade being eaten. Well, we have a very sort of European doctor who's in on it on the inside. And instead of calling the military like he should, to have the hospital be cleansed like it was 20-something years ago, he decides, I'm going to see if I can use this somehow to my advantage and study it. This guy's a dick anyway. He's been a problem throughout the film, bugging everybody, just being an asshole. He gets bit and just goes nuts and joins the fray. So I'm hanging with this film. I'm like, all right, so it's become the story of change, a group that we like that are changing, and now the group is fractured off, so now they're they're fighting amongst each other, and we're still pulling for this doctor, the nurse, and the two higher functioning zombies that are nice, I guess is the best way to put it. We're pulling for them, and they're trying to get a cure. They're trying to get out. As they're trying to escape, and I'm like, okay, I'm still in on this film because the acting was pretty good. And that kept me in this film. The special effects were okay. They weren't bad at all. Better than what I've seen some as of late, but this film is from 2005. But anyway, so I'm hanging in there on this film, and all of a sudden, in like the final 10 minutes of this film, the train goes off the fucking tracks and plows into a preschool. It just started being completely outlandish. Suddenly, our hero woman, they announced 10 minutes prior that she was pregnant, and they didn't understand why, because she wasn't having sex that we know of. And this woman weighs about 90 pounds and is, perfectly thin. And suddenly, she is full term, 9 months. She looks like she's 14 months pregnant, to be honest. Her belly is so distended. She suddenly goes into labor, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is completely senseless. And she's like, oh my God, the pain, the pressure. And an arm comes busting out of her belly. And it's like a big arm. It wasn't even like a baby arm. So was it a zombie? I don't know. And the group becomes overrun, and everybody's getting the shit bit out of them. And I mean, it was dumb. The ending of this film, and I'm glossing over a lot at the end too, the three mid-level zombies that share the consciousness are like biting everybody. Stay with us. We're going to be one big happy family. And, we're supposed to be one family. And tried to bring this whole weird togetherness aspect among the zombies. And they were just dicks. So the last 10 minutes of this film ruined it all. I was really bummed out. I jumped over all kinds of obstacles to stay on board with this film. And the fact that they rewarded me with just shitting the bed on the ending stunk. It's better than some I've seen as of late, but in the end, it still wasn't all that good. On the Berdinsky rating scale, the most zombastic rating on the planet, it's apparently 17 miles below the crust of Saskatchewan. This would be a borrow. Borrow into the last 10 minutes and turn the film off and make your own ending. This could be a choose-your-own-adventure zombie book. If you'd like the movie to shit the bed, flip to page 27. If you'd like to pretend that they got away and everything's cool, and that does start off the whole Night of the Living Dead, I don't know. I guess it wouldn't really start Night of the Living Dead because they isolated and killed all the zombies in 1968, and it didn't resurface until this film was made, apparently. So I don't understand the connection they're trying to make between anything Romero did, because they tried to wrap the time around two different films. They tried to wrap it around Night of the Living Dead, being that they put this movie purposefully back in 1968 when the zombies happened, but they show them wiping them all out. Where were the rest of the zombies? Exactly, nowhere. So how that would relate to Night of the Living Dead, your guess is as good as mine. And how they tried to link it to Day of the Dead in 1985, I don't know. I think it was just a title deal, because there was nothing in this film that related to anything with Bub. They didn't try to attempt to link it in any way other than what? It was a military hospital. This should not have been linked. This film should have been called Our Film is Shitty Enough to Stand on Its Own. That should have been the title. That's all I've got for this week. I don't know. Got something coming up next week that I'm pulling off of Netflix. I forget the name of it. I've watched the first 20 minutes already. I'm not sure what order we're going in this week, but I think we're getting our next installment of Walking with the Dead, and that's pretty badass. So looking forward to hearing that. Like you guys, I like listening to our show. I do. I don't mind saying it. And I get up early Saturday morning, download it onto my phone, and listen to it while I'm doing my little errands around the house and getting breakfast and everything made. So fun working with you guys. Have a great week, guys. Talk to you soon. See ya.